Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Banjoozie, and sorry, my mic got tangled there. Welcome to the Banjoozie podcast. It has been 2 months since I've done a podcast. I'm deeply sorry for that. I've been very preoccupied. Haven't really been posting as much content as I've been hoping to post, to say, but at least now I can bring out a podcast. So, the topic is the love for villains. And if you don't get the concept of what I'm talking about, um, behind it all is primarily being the fact that you can't have a good story without a good villain. For an example, right? You think DC, you have the protagonist or hero to say, Batman. He fights the crime because of his backstory. But then you have the Joker, and in some senses, the Joker is a lot more loved than Batman. That's because, unlike a protagonist, an antagonist can move the story along a lot easier, in my opinion. To say for this is Darth Vader. Without the inclusion of Darth Vader in the original trilogy, we wouldn't really have, well, much progression. Because if we don't find out that Darth Vader is the father of Luke, it kind of pushes more development on Luke himself. But let's not get into that. So, the love for villains. Villains are quite beloved in a lot of the communities. Now, of course, some communities hate villains, be it if it's officer in anime, a movie, video game, TV show, cartoon. But at the end of the day, nearly every community has that one villain they just love to death. Be it something they've done before, be it something they're about to do, or some way they like to just move forward. An example I think might be the best example for this is Evil Morty. Let's go into Evil Morty. Rick and Morty, okay? It's a very popular comedic show. Now, it mainly goes around the comedic grasps, but it does have quite a few canon episodes. Some about Rick trying to, like where Rick they're inside Rick's head trying to get the portal fluid formula, all that kind of stuff, and they kind of give more development. That's all canon, right? A very early canon episode is the episode where it opens up with a Rick eating pancakes with his family. Another Rick with a scar kind of looking thing. Just like, I can't remember exactly where the scar was. Just guns down him and the Morty, and leaves with even Morty. Now it gets involved with the main Rick that we usually follow along in this thing. It all ends up where they track him down. He's been using Mortys to get out of the detection of other Ricks because the Mortys are like anti-Rick waves or something for tracking. So he used a lot of them. But yeah, I'm not going to go too much in the episode. But at the end of the episode, when the dead evil Rick is on the floor, two Ricks of the Citadel investigate his body, and one points out, "What is that?" The other one then grabs out a wire. He says, "This is a mind control device. This is the receiver." They say, "Who's the transmitter?" The evil Morty, who's been wearing an eye patch for this entire episode, takes out the eye patch, which had technology around it, pushes in a wire into the inside of his eye, drops the eye patch, blends in with the crowd. Now, that was just one character in like just around, I think, like the first or second season, and like it was very big, and it had a really cool theme song of, I can't remember. It's like "Damaged" by Youth Coda or something like that. It's like dun, 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 that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna go into it, but that moved along quite a lot because cut to a few more seasons afterwards, Citadel is actually getting a massive hit by our main Rick because of a lot of stuff. But then this whole episode's primarily going around the Ricks and the Mortys of the Citadel and how they feel about the difference, everything. And there is people running for mayor, but like running for president of who to rule the Citadel, and like a Morty is in the run, and people are like, "Oh, this is gonna be funny, watch a Morty fail." What they do not realize is that this Morty is confident, he's smart, he's able to come up with such witty lines, he knows how to work properly, he knows how to do nearly everything. It's amazing if you know what I say. So, at the end of the thing, he fires his campaigner, and the he fires his campaigner, who finds out that he's evil Morty, tries to warn the Citadel about it, but he's already ruled the Citadel, sends him out into space. He stands up in the hall where there's a bunch of different types of Ricks, and like a Tycoon Rick, an Arabic Rick. They're all like, they really run the Citadel. They're basically like the council, stuff like that, after the actual original council or something like that died, or they've been running since that council run. And they're like, doesn't matter if it's a Rick, a Morty, a Jerry running, they're gonna run it. And then he's like, okay, does all feel this way? A few of them put their hands up. He then snaps his fingers, the Rick guards shoot them. It then cuts away to just this one shot where there's a bunch of Ricks, Mortys, just being dumped their bodies out into space, while that same song plays. That's something little, right? But it gives progression as we're building up this character. And now we're coming into the last episode of season 5, which I recently just rewatched, which was Rickerai Jack or something like that. It's a play on words of Samurai Jack, like most of their titles. It starts starts off with Rick, yeah, sorry, I got a cough. It starts off with Rick, he's with the two crows, he's dealing with everything, but then, he was like, he doesn't want to go back to Morty, because these two crows, he replaced Morty with two crows, and he was going on an adventure with them, and he moved out, but he came back then. Now, I'm just saying these are spoilers for this last episode of season 5. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, tune in out for a while or something like that. Basically, Rick in the end day goes back to the Morty, goes and returns on an adventure, but they first go on an adventure to the Citadel because Morty's aged himself 40 years, and Rick needs to get him back to 14, so he uses the Citadel where he originally got aged up to get back aged down. After that, a mutated Morty comes out of the sewers of the Citadel and tries to bring out there's danger, hope, blah blah blah, stuff like that. A lot of escalates. Rick guards tell Rick and Morty that they're invited by President Morty's to dinner, and in that shot, he comes in to the thing. They're eating food, everything's quiet for a bit, and then he's talking with them. He brings up everything, he's talking about he could have just hunted them down, stuff like that, but he decided to just take the easy option and bring him in. But he then also mentions, how does he take down the central finite curve which is something very key in the Rick and Morty universe. It basically separates all the universes where Rick is not the smartest man, but Rick is the smartest man, being the key universes going around like a spiral, and the other ones are blocked out. It's this really weird thing. Now, even Morty wants to break it down because he hates Rick's nearly as much. Like he hates Rick's, and he hates Morty's that suck up the Rick's nearly as much as he hates Rick's. He has this whole passion where he wants to get the info that he scanned Rick's memories in 10 seconds or a certain portion of it because he already, with evil Rick, scanned most of it ages ago and then combined the two data. Using that, he was able to get enough data how to bring down the Citadel and get out to a universe where Rick is not the smartest man of the universe. And then it's like a whole climatic scene. You see the process he's doing, forcing mutated Mortys into slavery, all that kind of stuff. But then, like, he talks about the memories where Morty finds out Rick himself, the main Rick we follow along with, built the Citadel. And only, but then, like, Morty's all really evil, like, really not happy with this. He's very pissed off at Rick. So Rick lets him look into his memories one last time. And what does it do? It shows why Rick is Rick and does not like the Citadel, as he just wanted to be a family man, and one of the other universe Ricks just straight up killed Beth and his wife, and he was so upset about it. He started hunting down Ricks to find out that he was his family killer. He gave up and moved in with the Beth, I think, of the world of season 1, because yeah, they switch because of the Clorenberg or whatever world. And because of that, Morty feels sympathy. They confront even Morty. He has a ship that's at the very bottom of the Citadel. Gotta fire out because he's opening up a wormhole. But as the whole Citadel's firing down because there's portal fluid that's killing everybody, Project Phoenix, what revives Rick and Morty if they die, is now being used to fuel the machine by constantly putting them through a blender. Yeah, it's a bit bloody, I know. Rick and Morty could be like that sometimes. And it's just this whole moment where he's like, you could join me if you wanted a ship. But then he just tells him that it was always that second seat is actually a toilet and all that. Like he's just messing with him, but he just doesn't care. He just watches everyone die. So Rick and Morty try to get to Mortyberg, part of the Citadel where Morty's are, separate it and get as far away from the collision with the wormhole kind of thing's gonna crush the Citadel. They get away, but it's pulled in. Even Morty's shot through his ship. He's getting shot through multiple dimensions. But while I was playing, as I mentioned, the Evil Morty theme, except for they've motherfucking just haloed it. I'm sorry for my language, but they haloed it like a choir. It is beautiful. Like it is amazing. I really recommend just listening to it. Like it's so good. And it kind of ends up where the Rick and Morty stranded out with the other Mortys, but the evil Morty has gotten his way to a universe where Rick's not the smartest. Pulls out a portal gun, shoots a golden portal, walks through it. That's that episode. Now, there's not much on Evil Morty. There's not really much why he hates Rick's and why he hates Morty's that suck up to Rick's. But the much we not know about a character, the much more we get to theorize about the character. Be it, wow, is this character like, what they're doing, what's their motivations. They really brought a bit of progression because Rick and Morty doesn't usually stand with a canon progression of a story. But when it does, it's primarily around the Citadel or Rick's past, anything of those lines. And to see that our Rick, who's been besting people so much, and even got bested a few times himself, got completely bested by a Morty. Now, I think that even Morty is a very key character in the entirety of Rick and Morty. I just think it's really good. But I think I'm gonna move off. Yeah, I'm gonna move off even Morty now and move on to another villain. For example, let's go on to Green Goblin. Personally, one of my favorite villains because he comes from one of my favorite trilogy, the Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire. I grew up with this. In my teenage years, I watched Andrew, and now in my late into my early adult, I'm watching Tom. But in my hindsight, I do think that Tobey Maguire's is still amazing. To the point where I'm really excited. I haven't seen the Doctor Strange movie yet. Don't spoil anything. Sam Raimi is directing it, being that I love Sam Raimi for making the Spider-Man trilogy, But out of that, Green Goblin is only in one movie in hindsight as the villain. The rest of it, he plays as a vision inside of his son's head. So Norman Osborn, owner of Oscorp, is trying to keep his business deal with the military. I think it is. I believe I can't remember exactly who's keeping the business deal, but they're saying they're going to run with another business. So he decides to test on himself a kind of super soldier serum thing that will enhance his strength and all that. Except for it nearly kind of kills him. But like when it does, the doctor who is his friend trying to help, set it up, gets a shock when Norman opens his eyes, grabs him by the throat, throws him through glass. Green Goblin isn't Norman. He's more like a split personality of Norman, an evil Norman, someone who just gets enjoyment out of just bringing death and destruction. Like I just don't know. Norman Osborn character was very good. Like it was really good to bring out Green Goblin for the first one because he plays a whole moment where he talks about how J. Jonah Jameson is constantly slandering Spider-Man's name throughout the movie, but like he brings up a moment where even in their moments like he could join Spider-Man could join the Green Goblin, or they'll hate him and then he'll just kill him. He keeps bringing the offers. He torments the heck out of Peter. There's moments where you can see that he switches from Norman to the Green Goblin, such as the moments where the blood drops when Peter was crawling in from the roof, and they were all over for food. Aunt May, Harry, Mary Jane. I think it was Mary Jane, MJ or whatever. Yeah, we're coming in for food, and the blood drops from Peter, but he's on the roof to hide. He's in a Spider-Man suit. And Norman's eyes, he went from Norman, and then he suddenly just gave an expression the Goblin was of suspicion. Now, yes, that could be a little, yeah, but like that could be anything. He's just confused. What really helps the fact is when May slaps the hand of Norman, and Norman is like, he has this foul mood around him suddenly. Ever since that blood drop, he starts cleaving the knives. He's sharpening the knives. He's like sharpening them to cut the food. He knows Anime. They bring up someone at the table. Anime brings up Peter's cut wound. Norman looks at him. He starts pulling one and two together. He realizes Peter is Spider-Man in the original trilogy. Now, this is very key because he knows now he has a lot of things to play with. Be it that later on he starts tormenting, as in he breaks the roof off and attacks Aunt May. Peter is not happy with this. Norman starts doing so much to the point where Peter has to hunt him down. Peter and Norman have their fight. Peter taking a pumpkin bomb to the face. Norman getting beaten down after a while. He starts pleading for misery, but in hindsight, his glider is being called towards him. He's going to be impaled. Peter senses what Peter sense, and what does Norman? And then Green Goblin switches to Norman and goes, "Oh," and then he gets impaled. Now, just that one movie could not be enough to make it that he's a good villain for the love of it. It has to do with the sequel, kind of primarily, with Spider-Man 2, where Harry has this grudge against Spider-Man because he finds out that Spider-Man was the last person who carried in Norman's body to Harry. He was very annoyed about this and his vows that he'd hate Spider-Man from there forth. But every time, like when Harry finds out that Peter is Spider-Man, there's this brief moment where he takes a glimpse in, and he sees his dad, and he starts showing so much stuff on Green Goblins, and it just shows that for some reason he got his craziness of the Green Goblin into his son, and it progressed the story on even into Spider-Man 3. Now, I'm not gonna just try and primarily talk about the movies. The comics Green Goblin is just a tormented guy about a failed experiment. He's what happens if you get too greedy with power, kind of like Spider-Man, you know. Both got both have their strengths. Both got so much going for them. But I feel like the Green Goblin has pushed more of the story than Spider-Man, if I can say that correctly. Now I'm gonna say it because I'm just very biased to the Sam Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man. You know, I think I couldn't really get much to say though out of Green Goblin. So I'm gonna bring up a character I can say quite, and I mean quite a lot about. Darth Vader. I think everybody knows who Darth Vader is. Darth Vader, Star Wars. If you don't know who Darth Vader is, maybe that kind of the breeding. A man made a machine. Originally in the original trilogy, we don't really get much about Darth Vader's backstory to say, where he primarily hunted, captured Princess Leia. he, he primarily captured Princess Leia, and he blows up her home planet with the Death Star. He kind of plays as that villain. He used to be the Padawan to Obi-Wan Kenobi, as we know, but we didn't even know it was Padawan. He was just apprentice or whatever. We didn't even know the Padawan word back then. He kills Obi-Wan. You don't get much progression. Second movie comes around. Luke is training. Darth Vader is progressively setting up bounty hunters, hunting down everybody. Goes to the city of your one traitor. I'm sorry, the name has slipped me. The name has slipped me. Sorry about this. I think it's the Calrissian. Lando Calrissian. That's it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he progressively progressively moves it like that. He's hunting them down. He's getting rid of all the rebel force. I don't really feel we get a bit of progression. Like Yoda kind of doesn't mention during the training when Luke goes to confront Vader that he is his father, but in the movie, it is that Palpatine tells Vader. I think is it this movie or the previous or the next one? He mentions that Luke is his son. There was another Skywalker, you know, and because of that, he drops the one of the most iconic words in all of movie history, which is gonna be, "I am your father." I cannot give it the beauty of the actual word, but to say, like those words of Luke screaming, "No, that's impossible!" The whole conversation, the shock. Luke realizes that the man he's fighting is his own family, you know. And I just think that just seeing that now there's a lot of more importance towards Darth Vader's character along the story. Even coming up now into uh episode 6, we have just a whole moment where like Luke and Darth Vader have their meeting when Luke is captured. He wants to be brought up to the Emperor Palpatine or Darth Sidious. Do it. Unlimited power. Blah blah blah. You know him. We all know who Palpatine is, but or Sidious or whatever name you want to go by. But he tries to convey to Vader to have a change of heart. Now in the end, he does, but it kind of reflects that even the villain can change. But I'm gonna say this here. I don't think the original trilogy is the reason that I'd bring up why Vader's the villain, despite him being technically the main antagonist for the main two kind of movies until we get a bit of Sidious into episode 6. You know, a little more like then a hologram kind of Sidious. So that's why I feel like I should mention. Oh Lord, what am I about to do? The prequels, the big meme content themselves. Something I actually really enjoyed as a kid and as a teenager. I realized they're just a lot of memes, like a lot of memes. So starting off, let's go back to episode 1. Episode 1, where do we introduce Darth Vader? We're introduced to a young boy named Anakin Skywalker. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi are bringing Padme on safety, but their ship, and I think it was engine broke down. So they tried to purchase a new one, but their credits are not worth anything here on Tatooine. Yeah. So they kind of take shelter with Anakin a bit and his mom when there's a storm. Anakin then says that he will go for a race, but then Qui-Gon Jinn earlier in the conversation with Obi-Wan says that the Montecorite things, I believe it is, you know, the things that Qui-Gon explains is how they control the Force is like at an exponential level, and he realizes that Anakin is very powerful in the Force to say. So in the bet for the engine, you know, to get the engine and all that, and for like, well, not the bet, like the money for the race to get the engine, he kind of placed a bet with the owner of Anakin and his mother that he would like to free the boat, but he can't, so they gamble for who he gets. Qui-Gon uses the Force, so they manipulate it so he gets Anakin. At the end of the day, Anakin wins the race and goes off with the Jedi to the Jedi Temple to train. Qui-Gon gets rejected now to train Anakin in the first movie. But as Qui-Gon, now Anakin doesn't really play much except for he destroys the Separatist kind of star, whatever they're called, those ships with circle kind of beam things around them. But when Qui-Gon dies to Vader, Obi-Wan now is going to train Anakin. And he, like, you know, he's training him. He's going to train him. I think it was on Qui-Gon's last wish or something. Sorry if my mind's a little hazy. So to say this is that in the second movie now, we get a little more progression. Anakin's a lot older, and he has a lot more feelings for Padme, which I didn't really mention about the last thing, but okay, you're gonna crush on the Padme. But to say here that he's a lot older and he's still got the feelings, but the Jedi's don't really attachment is not really into their code to say, you know. Now, at the end of the thing, like Anakin's kind of going on a diplomatic mission to protect Padme, while Obi-Wan's gonna hunt down the bounty hunter Jango Fett and finds out about the clones. Now, it all kind of leads to this moment where Anakin finds his mom has been sold off to these other people in Tatooine now, who, by the way, two of them that like they're very young age there are later the people who look after Luke. I'm not gonna go into that now. Now, they were saying that that Anakin's mother was captured by the Sand People. You know, the whatever. Yeah. Anakin goes hunt down the Sand People, and Anakin, in the rage of his mother finding his mother near to death, then just dies, or I think it was just dead. He was enraged. So enraged, I think it was Yoda that felt a presence, a disturbance. I think it was that. But in the hindsight, right, Anakin was very unhappy about this to the point where when he came back, I think he came back to Padme. He was upset of the actions he did, but he was also just very annoyed or angry. He was going on about how he didn't just kill the men, he killed the women, the children of the Sand People. He killed everyone. It's kind of the first sign that, in hindsight, his emotions are what kind of key thing in his life, but because of the Jedi way, they're being suppressed, and he just doesn't get much time to show it. Now, I'm gonna say this. I like episode 3. I know it can be the prequels, but I feel like it really shows the development for Anakin. He's lost his arm in the last movie against Count Dooku's fight, uh, but like he's got like the robotic one. So now Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting Count Dooku on a ship. Obi-Wan gets knocked out, but Anakin gets the upper hand and takes Dooku's lightsaber, holding them two when he's on the ground with lightsabers. And Palpatine was captured and he's sitting in his chair. Anakin is holding the swords like this. Dooku is like, down. And then Palpatine goes, aha, good. Do it. Anakin just straight up cuts off his head. Now it's Obi-Wan when he woke up, he was very like dismayed when he's figured out that Anakin killed Count Dooku, you know? But in hindsight, it kind of just shows that in this movie especially, Anakin is getting a lot more unstable to say for this prequels. He starts doing a lot more brash actions. He started to listen to Palpatine, falling under his influence, which is not a really good sight because I think it's very obvious right off the bat for a lot of people, and even the Jedi started to sense it. Palpatine is not a good guy. And because he got emergency powers by Jar Jar, he has a lot more power now in the whole Senate area. And because of that now, Palpatine convinces Anakin about the dark side and how the Jedi are not really gonna do him well. He's like telling the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise, a story the Jedi would not tell you. Everything about that, to the point where it just doesn't really seem that Anakin started to question a lot of things. Now, when Mace Windu goes to confront Palpatine about him being the Dark Lord, a Sith Lord, Sidious and all that, he gets the upper hand for a while until Anakin bursts through the door. And he tries to shoot lightning at him, but Mace Windu deflects the lightning back at Palpatine, kind of showing like his face starting to get back. And he's like, "Help me! I can save the people you can." Anakin cuts off his arm, and then Mace Windu gets electrocuted and falls off the top of this big building. There's a lot of theories that Mace Windu survived it, but I'm not going to go into that now. At that point, then Palpatine executes Order 66. Anakin helps to set that Anakin straight up goes into the Jedi Temple and kills Padawans. I think we all seen the meme scene. Master Skywalker, what are we ever gonna do? There's too many of them. That whole scene. Now it is very meme material, as most of the prequels are, but it shows that Anakin, he's not. There was nothing beneath him from his goals. He needed to be killing the women or kids. Now, yes, the prequels are not the best thing to show, but maybe the best thing to go into depth about this character would primarily be the Clone Wars. How would I describe this? Anyone who's watched the Clone Wars, the show series, knows that at moments where Anakin is shown using tactics that the Jedi really do not approve of, at that moment, it starts playing a very faking song. That song being the Imperial March, which is considered to be the music that always plays around Darth Vader to say. Well, a lot of people do consider it. You always hear that dun 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 dun. There's so many moments like this, like when he's interrogating one of the prisoners of the Separatists, the bug guys who are like stuff like that. He knows that the Jedi mind tricks don't work on it, so he force chokes to get the information out of it. Other moments where Anakin kills people and goes against the Jedi way, plays it. So many moments it just plays it and plays it and it plays it. It just gets so out of hand. Like everybody, everybody just it's just shocked sometimes at Anakin's actions, and even in episodes where there was going dedicated into the dark and light side of the Force, Anakin gets a glimpse into his future, and he even gets to see a smoky image of his future of that all thing. It's troubling because Clone Wars now shows that he knew he was going to become what he was going to become. He could try to stop it, but in hindsight, it's just inevitability. The downfall of a powerful Jedi master, of could to be master, to such evil. Anakin will never be the same to say. Even in even in Rebels. Now, yes, it is Rebels. I don't know. It tried to be the successor to Clone Wars. It just really wasn't good. But there was moments where Ahsoka faced down against Anakin, and I felt like there was a lot of passion there because Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, if I didn't mention, is Anakin's Padawan. He even set the trainer, and there's a bond between them, even up to the latest season of Order 66, where Ahsoka's on board with Darth Maul captured. Yeah, there's a bond between them, and the fact we got to see Ahsoka, Anakin, well, Darth Vader at that point fight is a lot. A lot is to show. I feel like with nearly every iteration we see now, there's just constant more backup onto Darth Vader as a character. With his backstory, Clone Wars, Rebels, heck, even his helmet just showing that Kylo Ren just wants to be him. Um, we got like so much. I don't know how to describe it. There's so much content to say behind them. And now with this new Obi or Kenobi series coming up, he is he's gonna be a little more developed as a character in whole. Let's just hope that whatever they do, they don't ruin this character. All right, let's. I'm gonna pull up an anime rip for villain Yoshikage Kira. I'm sticking with the thumbnail villains I have. Yoshikage Kira is a normal man. He was a normal man, except for he has a hand fetish. Yeah, I know it's weird. It's very weird. Now, in the JoJo universe, they have these abilities called stands, which are the manifestation of their spirits, and they all have their own custom abilities. Now, Ishikawa Kira is a normal guy, except for that he kind of has committed a bit of murder, stuff like that. When he gets his stand, Killer Queen bites no dust, bites that dust. Or, well, sorry, that's his abilities. But Killer Queen has the ability to turn anything it touches into a bomb. Say, he just touches it. It's like you're a bomb. So he touches you, and he just clicks his fingers, and he tries to hide his identity. He's killing women for their just to hold their dismembered hands. He's doing all these great things, but the whole thing is that he covers it up quite well. He kind of progresses as part 4. If you ever watched JoJo, I think is a very underwhelming part. And the only thing I feel like really keeping it together is not even Jotaro from Part 3, is Yoshiko Kira the villain. Like, to make a guy who looks like David Bowie and have a stand named after a Queen song just be the main, like, the best part of a series is something really crazy in my opinion. Now, I feel like he's a bit of a weird character, but he has struggle. He does his best, and there's a lot of effort behind Yoshikage Kira. And like the character in a whole can be a strange one, but I love the character. I just find it very interesting. My name is Yoshikage Kira. I'm 33 years old. I live in the northeast section of Morio. I go to bed at 9 p.m. Stuff like that, you know. It's just so much little details. It's crazy to think that villains get a lot more development than you'd see in heroes. It's weird. Okay, I know I couldn't say much about Yukira. He only appears for a limited amount of time. Let's move on to Gigas from the Earthbound series. Video game representative. What can I say about Gigas? In Mother 1, he was cradled by Nintendo's mother, who was the protagonist and the father of Ness. Um, so to feel love when Nintendo's mom and dad were captured, and stuff like that. Well, it's not Nintendo's mom. He was like Nintendo's dad lover, but at the time I think he then remarried, and then that's Nintendo's mom after that. So it's like his half brother. Gigas is an alien of a mass power. He gains a lot of power. He's got so much PSI power, and he just constantly wants to get stronger and conquer. But he has humanity from when Nintendo's dad, ex-lover, or whatever you call it, cradled and cared for him as a kid because it was, to say, interesting. Because the way you beat him in Earthbound 1 is that you play a lullaby as he's a kid. Understanding that he has human emotions in Earthbound, basically, sorry. Earthbound, which is Mother 2, basically. He's gained so much power, and he's starting to draw himself away from his human side to say that his physical form cannot hold, and he just becomes this red mist looking creature so powerful that he cannot keep in physical form. He's so distorted, he's so everything. He's starting to break down, and he doesn't care that nothing can hurt him anymore. But he progresses the story because he wants to be that he's everywhere. He's everything. He is conquered anything. He's just bound on just bloodlust, power. And the character progresses the story because we go from a guy whose dad stole research for PSI to playing as the kid who's not that, and then the kid now of this dad fighting this, the same creature that your father struggled, and you don't even use your powers to defeat him. You pray. This is what else can you do? You're facing an omnipotent god. You pray for it to go away. You're not gonna be able to beat it. And I believe Gigas is not dead near Earthbound. He just became everything, but he's nothing at the same time. I feel like he's a villain that got his goal, but he's a villain that's so interesting to look into, but so cursed. And if you see a repetitive theme here, the villains are key to stories, and I find that we need to really appreciate them. I'm gonna bring on to the last one, Joker. Oh wait, no, I already brought you up Joker, or did I? No, I asked about him. I talked about him, but I about so Joker has a lot of depictions, be it Heath Ledger's or Joaquin Phoenix, or if you want to go with the crappy version, you know your boy who played Morbius also played him, and you know it's the worst Joker. But to in hindsight, Joker is one of the older villains to say, as he's seen as Batman's main villain, a clown who finds everything a joke and just finds that the crime he's doing is the punchline, Batman is the act, and he's the performer. He's so mind corrupt that anything he can get his hand on, he will destroy. One time he got Mr. Mixelpick, you know, the creature from like the fifth dimension that can only be defeated in the Superman universe by saying his name backwards. He one time got like accidentally got all his power, and Joker just had so much fun. He rewrit his universe. Now, be it that DC has so many different universes, he got so powerful that even Darkseid couldn't defeat him. Now, this was a weaker Darkseid, in my opinion. And Darkseid, if you go by true Darkseid, is a lot more powerful than Mr. Mixelpick and Batmite. Yeah, because like that Darkseid's only an avatar. Because the real Darkseid cannot live in a physical form in there for risking. But in the hindsight, Joker, for being no powers like Batman, pulls his weight around with like each Joker bring its own iteration to say. So let's give an example of 2019 Joker. A man who's mentally insane and breaks down laughing at any moment actually shoots a bunch of guys on a train because they were beating him up. And after that, he starts a movement because those guys were rich kind of workers, taking a lot of stuff for granted. And he starts moving with a lot of the other poor residents of the city. Everything goes into riots. He goes on a TV show and he shoots Murray for making fun of him when he was doing his comedy act because he felt that everyone was taking a joke out of him. Like, I'm not going to go so much into depth in the 2019 Joker. It is a masterpiece of a movie. Now, yes, a lot of people are annoyed because of how it does its story. But this version of it, it has that a follower of Joker shoots Thomas Wayne and his wife Martha Wayne, I think it is. And that little Bruce Wayne, now I know that this doesn't really become Batman yet because he's still a kid, shoots it, showing the implications. That's that version. It's never like that in most of the depictions. But in hindsight, Joker always brings the worst out of people so much, like in Injustice. He set off a nuke in Metropolis. He killed Lois Lane, Superman's unborn child, and a lot of people. Superman lost it, and Joker knew that he did something so far. Superman burst in where they were holding Joker and shoved his hand right through the chest. Being Superman with super strength, it's like punching through paper. But Joker really did kind of get the last laugh. See, the characters, the villains, pushed along the story, and are someone that people can really enjoy to watch on screen, or read in a book, or just play against in a video game. And I think that is my reason mainly for the love of villains. I think that we all really gotta appreciate a lot of media as in being from movies and stuff like that. But I feel like if you're looking to rate it good, if a movie is good or not, you should think, is its villain good or not? And if it's not, it's not really going to be a good franchise or whatever you know. Anyway, this has been a 48-minute podcast. Thanks for watching. Before I go, I'm just gonna do something real quick. So basically, I just want you to take into consideration. Now, I don't really want to bring this up. There's a dono link, and I know I don't want people downloading it to me, but if you ever want to, you can. I am going to college in the next while. It'd be a help, but personally, I don't really think that you have to. You never have to be doing anything. You don't even have to subscribe to me. There's not doing any stuff like that. Just do you want. So anyway, goodbye everybody. Wow, no supporters. God damn it.